Hello folks, my name is Kevin and this is the first video of the React Hook series. For this first video, we'll focus more on the use state, but I intend to go over all the main hooks and in the end to also teach you how to create your own custom hooks. So before explaining the use state, let me start by explaining a little bit. It will make sense about the React lifecycle. A component lifecycle basically consists in mounting. So the component gets mounted. It's when, for example, we show it on the screen like it's mounted. Updating, which is when it gets updated. For example, if we need, let's pretend we have a stopwatch function, a stopwatch component. So we see the value of the seconds incrementing 1, 2, 3. Each time the UI is being updated. And we, of course, also have the unmounting, which is when we say we don't need that component anymore, we don't want to show that on the screen, so disappear. And React hooks, they are useful because they allow us to interact with the React lifecycle, with the state variables. I'm going to explain what state variables are very soon. And right here, you can see those texts: component did mount, component did update, component will mount. Those are lifecycle methods provided by React so we can interact with the lifecycles. They were used when we worked more with class component. Like React used to have a syntax like, it used to be like that to declare a component. We used to use classes, but right now we usually use functions. It's not that you can't use the lifecycle methods or you can't use class components, but they are not as used as before because, first of all, the hooks are a very strong tool, very powerful, and they only work in functional components. Will you ever need a class component? You might, if you are, for example, building an error boundary, for example. There are some specific scenarios that you might be required to use one. Or if you're working with an old project that already has a bunch of legacy code, then it might not be worth it to just migrate everything to functional components. But before getting into state variables, as mentioned, let me start creating a regular variable to show how React deals with it. So I think we can remove that off the screen. I'll create a function called increment, and increment will increment the value of count, and we'll log that out. Besides that, I'll add a button here that on click will call increment, and we'll have count here. So if I save it, here we can see our button, and if I click here, we don't get this screen updated. But are we getting the count incremented? And we can see that we do, thanks to our console log here. We get the count updated, but we don't get the UI updated. And that's because it would be annoying if every time we change the variable, we got a screen update. Imagine that imagine I had to do like a big for loop here for some reason, and I don't need this screen to get updated in each iteration. Then we would get like performance issues. So it's good that the way React works is that we need to clearly say, hey, for this specific variable here, I want it to be updated. And that's what we call state or state variables. If I import useState from React, we can, before showing the syntax, I just wanted to introduce you the React hook snippets. That's an extension I use, and it allows us to get some prefixes, some snippets. So we use the React hooks. For example, right here, if I type ush, which stands for hook, useState hook, yes. And if I press tab, we get this whole syntax. And if I type count and press tab, this C will go uppercase. So it's following the camel case pattern. And yeah, explain the syntax here. The useState is a method that we import, and we call it passing the initial value that we want for our state variable. Then it returns an array for us with the state and the setState method. The setState method is the method we are calling to update count. So we are not anymore reassigning the value of count, like saying count receives 3. We shouldn't do that. React doesn't allow us. At least we won't get this kind of the desired output doing that. So the way we should update count right now is by calling set count and passing the new value that we want for count. Let's say we want 3. But right here, if I want to increment by 1, I'll say that the new value of count will be of the old count plus 1. That's it. So if I retry our feature here, we get the screen update that we wanted. So that's a very cool feature. Something else is that you can pass a callback function here, and this callback function receives as a parameter the old value of the state, or the current one, previous value, and will return the new value, which would be the count plus previous value. Oh, sorry. Count is the previous value plus 1. It's still working the same. I hope it's clear. Yeah, and why is that useful? For some reasons, but for example, if you wanted to pass, let's say this button was another component. If I wanted to do exactly what it's doing right now, I can just pass, for example, the set count, and it will be able to increment based on the previous value. And if we didn't have that, we would have to pass 2 values, the count and the set count. Do you get it? I hope it's clear. All right, right now, that's how useState works. That's all you need to know, but I'm gonna go through some scenarios that you might face, some common bugs, and show you how to go around them, or other stuff that you might see. Before, let me show you how you might see people dealing with input values when working with React. Let me destroy the count, and let's say we have an input here, type text, and we want to keep track of this value for some reason. Then I can put here input value, and the initial value will be an empty string. So if I just put the value of the button to be, the input value, then you see that we aren't able to type on it, because I'm saying, hey, the value of the input is the empty string. But if we want to update the value as we type, so on change of the button, we'll get an event, and we'll set the input value to the event target value. So the target is who is receiving the event, which is the input, and the value of the input, of course, you know what it is. So if I type here, now it's working. So what's the difference between doing that or not passing anything at all that we can still type? The difference is that right now, you are getting the input value here in your code. You don't need, for example, to access the DOM to get that input, to get the value of it. It makes our lives simpler. Let's say we have right now a form with this input, and we are dealing with arrays. So I'll call this input, just so you know what it is, fruit. I'll have another state variable called fruits and set fruits, and the initial value will be an empty array. Down here, I'm gonna have a list, and for each fruit, I'm gonna return a list item with the fruit that I wanna add. So for this case, let me just see. Yeah, I'll add a form here. Form, let's see what it's doing. So this form, let me add the input inside of here. Oops, something is wrong. Let's see what is happening here. What Copilot wrote for us. We have the input that is keeping track of the value here. Then we have a button. Let me save to see the button. Here's a button. And on click, that's not how I want to build it. 1 second. I'll add a on submit to the form. I'll get the event here. And let me see if Copilot suggests us. Oops. Event.prevent default. So when we submit a form in HTML, the default behavior is to redirect us to a different page. So if I don't add this line here, we'll get an unwanted refresh. And then we are gonna set fruits to a new array that is the spread of the previous fruits and the input value. And since we have the input value here as a state variable, I can also clear the input after pressing submit. So let's see if it works. Papaya. Let's see what else I have here. I don't know. Strawberry. Yeah, it's working. Yeah, so I wanted to show you how to work with array, because that's something you should remember happens. You should remember the spread operator exists, because some people get confused. They are really stuck to JavaScript features such as using fruits.push. But why shouldn't I use fruits.push? Because this way we are changing the state variable directly instead of doing that through the setFruits method. And something that I've seen multiple times is people trying to trick React by doing something like that. Let me just comment this out. So since I can just push into fruits, I can, in this case, say that new fruits is fruits, and then I'll push the value to new fruits, and then I'll set fruits to new fruits. But that doesn't work as well. We can try it. It's not working. And it doesn't work because when we assign an array, we are not passing a copy of the array. So just the value, we are passing the reference value. So right now, this array is the same as this array. If we compare, if we do is fruits, it's new fruits, same as fruits, that's true. So it also means that if I push new value into new fruits, I'm also pushing into fruits. And in the end, when we call this setFruits method, it's gonna do that comparison. Is this new value it's being passed the same as the previous value? And if that's true, it won't bother re-rendering the page for you, re-rendering the component for you. So yeah, anyhow, I hope it's clear. That's the way you should do. And let me see if there is anything else here. I don't think so. That's the main part of useState. Is it fixed? It's not fixed. Let's just see. Set fruits to the new fruit value. Is something wrong here? Let me refresh the page. All right, we have a bug. Let's take the opportunity to fix it. I don't know what I changed that caused the bug. So farm. On submit, we want to set fruits with the previous values of fruit and the input value. And we set the value to nothing. It seems correct for me. Oops. I just want to refresh the page. Oh, that I just noticed what bug it is. When I press enter, it works, but not when I click add fruit. Let's see why. This button is of type button. If I change it to type submit, then it should also trigger the submit of the form. Yeah, that's unrelated to useState, but I'll also leave that on the video, so if you go through something similar, you know how to fix. Anyhow, that was the first video. I really hope you enjoyed. Please like this video, subscribe to the channel. I'll be posting more videos every Wednesday. And that's it. Have a good day.